And on the headlines, President Buhari urges ECOWAS Parliament to sustain Founding Fathers programs. Still on the headlines, rescue efforts continue as death
Apologies for that sound barrier. Good evening once again and welcome to The World Now at 4. I am Udwaka Daniel. First, let's talk the headlines. And on the headlines, President Buhari urges ECOWAS Parliament to sustain Founding Fathers programs. Still on the headlines, rescue efforts continue as death toll from landslide increases. Also on the headlines, world's largest active volcano, Mauna Loa, erupts in Hawaii. And on sports, Nigeria arrived Rwanda for Cricket World Cup qualifiers. And now the news in detail. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has reminded legislators of the ECOWAS Parliament on the need to align their programs to those of the founding fathers of the regional body. The president, who stated this on Monday at the opening session of 2022 second ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament, said the vision of the founding fathers of ECOWAS was to have a West Africa that is integrated economically with harmonized policies. Citing upcoming elections in Sierra Leone and Liberia, President Buhari declared Nigeria's readiness to stand by any country in the region that is committed to organizing free and fair elections.
Let me see this opportunity to reiterate my commitment to free, fair, and transparent elections and smooth transitions. This is one legacy that I want to bequeath, not only to Nigeria, but to the region.
Chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, Omaro Embalo, restated the union's resolve to ensure democracy.
Our appreciation for the work of the district's member of the parliament, as well the full support of the authority of the head of state and the government that I have the honor to chair, and the brotherly and effective cooperation of all instances of our community.
CDA Tunis, Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, expressed readiness to assist Nigeria in conducting credible polls in 2023. Away from that story, the highlight of the event was President Muhammadu Buhari talking in excellence and for promoting democracy as he spoke at the event. And away from that, let's get on to yet another story and have you know that there is an impending issue with the members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, that is ASU, having warned the federal government of Nigeria against fresh crisis in the universities that would surpass all previous ones. The union, however, said the members cannot and would not continue to do free work that would not be remunerated. Speaking with journalists in the Ilorin Kwara State shortly after a protest embarked on by the members of the union in University of Ilorin branch, the former ASU chairman of the university and a council member of the union, Rashid Adeoye, and the secretary of the union in the university, Olatunji Abdulganiyu, described half salaries reportedly paid by the government to members of the union for October as unacceptable, saying it would be resisted.
Members of the public are hereby sensitized and put on notice again that fresh crisis, which would surpass all previous ones, is looming again in Nigeria universities. As our members cannot and would not continue to do free work that will not be properly remunerated.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Let's go on a short break. We'll be right back in a short bit. Don't go away. Always a delight to have you back, and still with the news, the Independent National Electoral Commission, that is INEC, has assured Nigerians and the international community of credible elections ahead of the 2023 general election polls. The Electoral Empire stated this on Monday, 28 November, at its national headquarters in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, during the visit of the African Union Special Pre-Electoral Political Mission. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu further said the Commission will not go back on its plan to use the bimodal voter accreditation system, that is the BIVAS, in the election.
I want to assure you that yes, we may suffer a little hitches here and there, but overall the Commission is required to proceed with the elections and to proceed in the manner that the law requires us to do, using the deployment of technology for the purpose of accreditation and
It also expressed concern on the recent attacks on its offices nationwide, with the most recent in Ebonyi State.
In the last 3 weeks, 3 of our local government offices were attacked in 3 different states of the Federation. And the last one occurred yesterday in the southeastern part of the country. Now, although there were no casualties, but quite a number of the materials already acquired and delivered for the elections have been lost. Now, the good thing is so far, we can recover from all the losses, but it's a source of concern. They shouldn't be allowed to continue. So we'll continue to engage with the security agencies to make sure that these offices, as well as personnel and our facilities, are protected ahead of the elections.
Nigeria's general election is scheduled to hold on 25 February 2023, and the visit is to assess the preparedness of the Commission. Still talking more stories, the Independent National Electoral Commission, that is INEC, has stated its determination to frontally tackle the issue of political party campaign spending ahead of the 2023 general elections. The nation's electoral body said areas of violation include party and candidate expenditure beyond what is provided by law, and the diabolic practice of votes buy-in in polling units on elections day. Chairman of INEC Mahmood Yakubu, who spoke at the National Stakeholders Forum on Elections organized by the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room, that is the NCSSR in Abuja, said the Commission will today publish a summary of the guidelines on finances and election expenses of parties and candidates. Yakubu said this when he received the Commonwealth Pre-Election Assessment Mission into Nigeria in Abuja yesterday.
So I want to assure you that yes, we may suffer a little hitches here and there, but overall the Commission is required to proceed with the elections and to proceed in the manner that the law requires us to do.
Remarks. The convener of the NCSSR, NLOB, commended the Commission for displaying the preliminary register of voters online for claims and objections. The leader of the Commonwealth Secretariat, Lindiwe Malekeleke, had also sought to know the ruling party's concern in the build-up to the general election. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, it will be more on Africa Today on The World Now at 4. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. The Economic Community of West African States, that is ECOWAS, Parliament has commenced the second ordinary session of the 5th Legislature in Abuja, Nigeria. The Speaker of the Community Parliament, Sidiye Mohammed Tunis, expressed optimism that nothing will obstruct free, fair, transparent and democratic elections in the 2023 elections in Nigeria, Liberia and Sierra Leone. He therefore pledged support of the parliaments to work with the ECOWAS Commission, partners and stakeholders to instill trust and confidence in the electoral system of the affected countries. The speaker also said that as a demonstration of the parliament's commitment to ensuring peaceful elections, it conducted oversight missions to the National Centers for the Coordination of the Early Warning and Response Mechanism in the early warning offices in Nigeria, Liberia and Sierra Leone. And away from that story, let's bring you more story on the world now at 4 and quickly get on to this very story, having you know the prosecutors have said Chad is to try 401 people detained during the and after deadly anti-government protests last month. Officially, around 50 people, including 10 members of the security forces, died when police opened fire on the demonstrators in the capital, in N'Djamena, and several other cities on October 20. But opposition groups say the actual toll was much higher, with unarmed civilians massacred. Prosecutors said the 401 detainees would be tried on Tuesday inside a high-security prison of Koro Toro in the middle of the desert, more than 600 kilometers, which is 370 miles northeast of the capital, N'Djamena. Prosecution said the hearings will be held from November 29 to December 4, adding that the 401 were being tried on several charges, including taking part in an unauthorized gathering, destroying belongings, arson, and disturbing public order. And now let's quickly go on this break. When we come back, it will be more on sports. Don't go away. Just before we get on to the sports, let us give you yet another international story, and then we'll move on to the business news, right? Hawaii's Mauna Loa, the world's largest active volcano, began erupting on Sunday for the first time since 1984, ending its longest quiet period in recorded history. The night sky above Hawaii's largest island glowed red as bright, hot lava sprang forth at the volcano's summit at around 11:30 p.m. The U.S. Geological Service, that is the USGS, said the lava is contained within the summit and does not threaten Hawaiians living downslope for now. The eruptions began late Sunday after a series of fairly large earthquakes, said Ken Hahn, the scientist in charge at the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory. And now let's move away from that and give you some business story in a short bit. Keep in mind that this is the World Now at 4. In talking business, Central Bank of Nigeria, that is the CBN sectoral analysis of deposit money banks credit, has said loans obtained from banks by operators in the nation's construction sector rose from 1.025 trillion naira in January 2022 to 1.157 trillion naira in October 2022. The data from the CBN also showed that the firms borrowed the sum of 132 billion naira between January 2022 and October 2022. This is coming days after a report by the National Bureau of Statistics, that is the NBS, revealing that construction services contributed to 12.9 trillion naira to the gross domestic product in the first 3 quarters of 2022. Reacting to the analysis, George Chukura stated that the quest to defeat idleness had made more companies run to banks for more loans despite the economic downturn witnessed in the country. The federal government said Nigeria needs at least 1.5 trillion naira in the next 10 years to close its infrastructure deficit and achieve an appreciable level of the infrastructure stock. Social media sites will no longer have to take down material designated legal but harmful as part of the government's proposed plans for online safety. The Online Safety Bill will be amended and the controversial but key measure removed before it is set to go back to Parliament next week after repeated delays. The government said it is making the changes over fears the original plans would have meant the biggest platforms would have had to not only remove illegal content, but also any material that had been named as legally but potentially harmful. Michelle Donnellan, the Culture Secretary, said the bill in its current form had a very concerning impact, potentially, on free speech. And now let's go on this break. Coming right up next will be sports. Don't go away.
A very good evening to you and welcome to World Sport News and World Now at 4. I am Richard Badung. Nigeria's men's senior cricket team, the Yellow Greens, is expected to have arrived Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, for the 2024 ICC Men's T20 Africa Sub-Region B World Cup qualifier today. The team arrived in Rwanda via Zimbabwe, where they embarked on a week-long training tour with 4 warm-up games against the Midwest Rhinos Cricket Club in Kwekwe. Nigeria won the series by 3-1. National coach Clive Ogbime expressed optimism about the impact of the training tour on the players. Upon the arrival of the teams today, technical meetings will follow Wednesday, while actions will commence on Thursday with 4 games per day till December 9. Nigeria will square up with Mozambique, Sierra Leone, Eswatini, Gambia, Cameroon, and Ghana for the 2 available slots in Sub-Region B, as the top 2 teams will join Kenya and Rwanda in the Africa Regional Final build for Namibia in 2023. And away from cricket now, Wales and England will go head to head in the mouth-watering final match in Group B, with all to play for in the World Cup. Robert Page's Wales team must beat England later tonight to stand any chance of progressing to the last 16 in a game that will be broadcast worldwide. Meanwhile, Gareth Southgate's side is aiming to qualify for the next round as group winners and to bounce back for an underwhelming performance against the United States of America. Currently bottom of Group E in their only other World Cup appearance in 1958, Wales reached the quarterfinals and will have to beat the 3 Lions today and hope the USA will draw with Iran to progress to the last 16. If the USA-Iran match does end in a draw, Wales must beat England by 4 goals to advance. One player fans are hoping will step up to the challenge is captain Gareth Bale, who along with midfielder Aaron Ramsey received criticism for his performance during the 2-0 defeat by Iran. Away from that sporting matter, taking you to other, where Portugal has booked their place in the World Cup last 16 on Monday as Bruno Fernandes' second-half double secured a 2-0 win over Uruguay. The deadlock was broken in the 54th minute when Fernandes' cross was missed by Cristiano Ronaldo and flew straight into the net. The Manchester United midfielder added a second in injury time from the penalty spot as Portugal moved to top of Group H with 6 points. With the win, the Portuguese team becomes the third team to qualify for the round of 16 after defending champions France and Brazil. And that's your sport news on World Now at 4. Back to Uduak Daniel for the rest of the news. I am Richard Badung.
Thank you so much, Richard Badun, for that one. And that's how we call it a close for the World Now at 4. But just before we go, a quick look at our top stories. We told you President Buhari urges ECOWAS Parliament to sustain Founding Fathers programs. We also told you rescue efforts continue as death toll from landslide increases. We brought to the fore the fact that world's largest active volcano, Mauna Loa, erupts in Hawaii. And on sports, Nigeria arrived Rwanda for Cricket World Cup qualifiers. Remember to visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel, all at Hills TV. I am Udual. Thank you for watching.